Ran is in full nostalgia mode, daydreaming about that one date she had with Shinichi at Tropical Land, you know, the one good memory holding their relationship together by duct tape and teenage longing. Meanwhile, Conan's pulling his usual, "I'm definitely not a 6-year-old" act by calling Ran using his voice changer bow tie from a phone booth, because apparently smartphones haven't been invented in the world of high-functioning child detectives. Ran gets all emotional and asks if he can meet her at Tropical Land again. Just as Conan is about to hit her with a maybe, the detective boys walk by yelling, "It's no fun without Conan," which is kind of ironic since Conan is literally right there in secret agent mode. So naturally, Conan panics and hangs up like a guilty ex dodging accountability. Conan joins the kids who are way too confident about stumping him with a riddle. Of course, he solves it in 2 seconds and they're immediately offended as if this isn't the 500th time this has happened. Anyway, they all decide to go bug Professor Agasa together because what could possibly go wrong? Answer, everything. Genta almost becomes a traffic fatality when he tries to cross on a blinking green light. A police officer stops him, teaching him the classic life lesson of flashing green means imminent death. The group waits, but the officer wanders off to make a phone call because who needs situational awareness when you're a marked man in a serial killer movie? The light turns green. The kids cross. The officer gets shot in the chest by a mysterious person with an umbrella, because apparently the rain isn't dramatic enough. Conan gives chase but loses the guy in the crowd. It's like Where's Waldo but with attempted murder. Conan checks on the officer, who dramatically reaches for his notebook then dies mid-cliffhanger. Classic. The detective boys are taken in as witnesses, and naturally their memories are garbage. Ayumi says the shooter was a middle-aged man, Genta saw a young dude with a black umbrella, and Mitsuhiko swears it was a woman with a green umbrella. Conan's like, so basically it was a human holding an umbrella. Thanks guys. But he deduces the umbrella was gray, the coat was gray, and the culprit was left-handed. Because nothing gets past this pint-sized Sherlock. Cut to more murder. Another cop named Shiba is found dead in a parking lot, also holding his police notebook like it's a dying love letter. The police now believe they're dealing with a serial killer who hates umbrellas and cops. Kogoro calls Magyar to fish for info, but Magyar hangs up faster than someone getting a scam call. Suspicious? Yes. Out of character? Not at all. Magyar meets up with Inspector Shiratori and goes full paranoid, swearing him to secrecy like they're guarding national treasure, not solving murders. Later, everyone, including Conan, Ran, Kogoro, Sonoko, and Eri, shows up at a wedding party for Shiratori's sister. Because nothing brings people together like violent crime and free cake? Kogoro tries to butter Magyar up again for info, but Magyar is tight-lipped, so Kogoro and Conan resort to blackmailing poor Detective Takagi with his crush on Sato. Honestly, this is bullying, but it works. Takagi panics and spills the tea. The second victim was also holding his notebook. Wow. Groundbreaking. Before they can milk Takagi dry, Shiratori swoops in and goes all, "This is above your pay grade, Kogoro." Conan, however, starts to think the killer might actually be a cop. Dun dun dun. Meanwhile, Sonoko, Ran, and Eri are having some wholesome girl talk about how Eri and Kogoro used to be a thing before he turned into a booze-powered man-child. Then, things go full Final Destination. Sato and Ran head to the bathroom. The lights go out. Classic horror setup. Ran tries to be helpful by looking for a flashlight and bam, a shooter with a see-through umbrella, the fancy assassin kind, opens fire. Sato jumps in front of Ran like the human shield she is, gets shot, and collapses dramatically. Ran sees the shooter's face, which is obviously going to be a problem later, and then passes out with a bloody hand like she thinks she shot Sato. We love a melodramatic queen. Cut to the hospital, everyone's stressed, Sato's barely hanging in there, and Magyar drops the ultimate anxiety bomb. She has a 50-50 chance of surviving. Not helping, dude. Ran wakes up, but surprise! She has amnesia. Not even the fun forgets where she put her keys kind, but the full who are all you people wipe. Conan is horrified. Eri is confused. Kogoro is useless. Business as usual. Sato, her new psychiatrist, shows up to explain the plot device, diagnosis. Ran doesn't remember who she is, but her brain looks fine on paper. Megure finally gives in to Kogoro's pestering and spills everything about an old case involving a dead surgeon named Tomatsu Jino. Turns out Jino died on a stakeout under suspicious circumstances, and the team investigating him included several officers who are now mysteriously dead. Sato's the last survivor of that squad, which basically means she's marked for death like a slasher movie final girl. Now that Ran might have seen the killer's face, Conan's in full bodyguard mode, because he knows this amnesiac karate goddess is in serious danger. Ran gets discharged and immediately panics at the sight of a puddle, proving trauma is stronger than rain boots. Kogoro helps her like a concerned dad who's also part-time terrible. Ran sees a photo of Shinichi and keeps staring at it like it owes her money. Everyone tries to trigger her memories, loud noises, flashcards, interpretive dance, but nothing works. Next day, the detective boys show up like her self-appointed avengers and promise to protect her. Honestly, maybe memory loss isn't such a bad gig, which is both hilarious and worryingly valid. Ran keeps eyeing Shinichi's photo like it's on the tip of her tongue. Later, she goes shopping with Eri and Conan. While they wait for the train, the killer pushes Ran onto the tracks like it's a soap opera. Conan saves her with 0.2 seconds to spare and immediately earns the My Hero badge. At the hospital, Dr. Sato, who, by the way, is sketchier than a pencil factory, warns that Ran's fear might be suppressing her memories even more now. Gee, thanks, Doc. Conan goes full detective mode, digging into Jino's past. He finally gets the aha moment. The killer is none other than Dr. Sato himself. Yep, the guy in charge of Ran's mental health is also the guy trying to murder her. Plot twist of the year. They all go to tropical land to help jog Ran's memory. She gets flashes of her date with Shinichi and a can of Coke to the face, truly the romantic peak. Suddenly, a mascot starts stalking Ran because we're in that kind of climax. The kids trip the mascot, Kogoro unmasks him, and surprise, it's Makoto Tamanari, son of the original dead police inspector. Kogoro finds a knife and assumes he's the killer. But no, Makoto's just a weirdo with anxiety and bad costume choices. He gets arrested anyway because why not? At the station, Makoto explains he was trying to warn Kogoro. The knife was for self-defense. The costume was for drama. Conan face bombs. Back at the park, the real killer finally takes another shot, literally, during the nighttime parade. Professor Agasa heroically body checks Ran to safety and gets a flesh wound for his efforts. MVP. Conan chases after the culprit, channeling his inner Fast and Furious. Conan presents his deductions to the culprit. Killer's motive? Pure pettiness. Jino ruined Sato's surgical career by slicing his left wrist during an operation. When Sato found out Jino did it on purpose while drunk, he snapped, murdered him, covered it up, killed every cop poking around, tried to kill Ran to cover the cover-up. Classic overkill. Conan and Ran escape together, sliding through a hole in the ground and run to a lava lake. Ran wonders why Conan keeps protecting her. Conan says, "I love you so much, my darling, more than anything in the world." Classic. They end up in front of the iconic fountain. Ran still doesn't remember until Sato tries to shoot Conan. That's her emotional trigger, apparently. She regains her memory and her karate powers at the same time and wrecks Sato like a boss. Police arrive, arrest Sato, and Megure gets a call. Sato's awake and will make a full recovery. Cue the emotional victory music. Superintendent Odagiiri is like, "Wait, who is this kid?" And Conan hits him with the coolest mic drop. "Need not to know, Superintendent, I'm just a boy." Bonus twist. Odagiiri's son Toshia was helping Jino smuggle drugs from the hospital. Arrest that man too. Back at home, Ran tells Conan she remembers everything now and thanks him for helping her, with the exact same words Kogoro used to propose to Eri. Conan's soul briefly leaves his body. Oh no, he's horrified that he had the same idea as that stupid old drunkard. If you've ever thought, wow, I'd love a murder mystery with traumatic flashbacks, emotional angst, and a girl who could take down a grown man with a roundhouse kick, congratulations, this movie was made for you. Captured in Her Eye is the fourth installment of the Detective Conan movie franchise and arguably one of the most intense. Forget bomb plots or stolen art, this one dives headfirst into murdered cops, psychological trauma, and one heck of a twist villain hiding in plain sight. What works? The mystery. This isn't your standard whodunit. The movie smartly layers the plot with police corruption, long-buried secrets, and a killer who's basically a discount James Bond with a grudge and a thing for transparent umbrellas. Conan has to unravel a case that's not just dangerous, it's personal. People are dying. Rand's in danger. Takagi's in panic mode. The stakes feel real. Rand's Amnesia arc, Rand Mori gets a rare spotlight here, and it's not just for throwing criminals across the room. The film explores her psychological trauma in a surprisingly mature way. When she loses her memory after witnessing a murder, we see her as fragile and vulnerable, but still brave in the face of fear. The result? An emotionally grounded core that adds weight to all the murder-y chaos. The climax? The ending is straight-up cinematic. Tropical land, a giant fountain, killer on the loose, memory coming back at the worst, read, best possible moment, and Rand turning into Bruce Lee. It's poetic, it's badass, and honestly, it's what every finale should strive to be. What's a bit? Kogoro still sucks. He tries. He really does. But once again, the legendary sleeping detective mostly just yells, drinks, and forgets how phones work. At least he's consistent. The killer reveal is wild. When you realize that the kindly psychiatrist treating Rand is actually the killer. 10 out of 10 drama. But also, who approved this man's license? He's murdering cops and prescribing memory suppression like it's cough syrup. It's a bit much, but hey, it's anime. The detective boys, they're there. They try. They slow the movie down sometimes. But at least they don't get kidnapped this time, so we'll call it character growth. Final verdict. 8.5 out of 10. It's got murder, memory loss, mystery, and multiple people yelling, Rand, in slow motion. What more could you want? Also, leave a comment below with your favorite Conan moment from the movie. See you next time.